Why the profile? Why do we? Why is it in our name? Why do we believe that that is a crucial tool that allows you to make better trading decisions? And why are we kind of zealots for this tool when there's lots of tools out there to organize market information? Um, Primarily, if you haven't caught this yet, is that we're behaviorists. And what a profile does is it really displays auction behavior. It gives insight into the only indicators that every auction participant watches, which are price and volume. You may see references on a moving average or a Fibonacci and so forth, but those are all at different time frames, and it may not be the time frame that the player in control really cares about. One of the benefits of a profile is we look inside specifically a session. We can see where are the prices that were important, irrespective of time frame, which is really meaningful. And it graphically arranges auction behavior. It's neither technical nor fundamental, but it works in any and every market cycle and time frame. So high volatility, low volatility, mid volatility, summer sessions, winter sessions, monetary markets, fiscal markets. It really doesn't matter what cycle it is. And this is one of the things that was really attractive to me, is because I found some approaches that worked in some market cycles and some that worked in others. The profile really, because of really what it's showing you, just showing you inside the auction and just showing what's happening at these specific prices, that works in any and every market cycle. So it's something to really trust. It allows you to objectively define risk. When we build a trade using the 4 questions, we'll find that we can really put clear lines in the sand of what we want to defend and objectively define that risk, where we're basically saying, hey, look, we need to be able to hold this area of acceptance in the auction. You'll learn more about what that means here in the future. And if we can't, then we're wrong. So knowing clearly when we're right and clearly when we're wrong, it shows us better prices to be active at. There is a myth out there that every price is actionable. And this is a retail myth. From an institutional perspective, we will say, no, there aren't every price that's actionable. There are some prices that are actionable, and we wait for those prices. The profile tells us where those prices are, so we can, in a sense, let the auction come to us, and we can dictate the terms of which we want to be active at. And it allows us to see what others can't. And that means we can see inside the bar, inside the candlestick, to see what's happening at each specific price, so that we can ultimately make better decisions. You know, if I go and look here, and we're just looking at a TPO chart here of the NASDAQ futures, and this is a closed session. We're in the overnight session right now, but I can see inside of a full session where the open was here. Here's the close, right? So imagine that this was a candle. The candle would look probably something like this. Like here's the open. Actually, if we did open high low close bar, right, we could go down here, and then we could see here. What would we not see? We would not see that the most traded price is here in the middle, and it's actually skewed a little bit to the downside. So we can actually see for the coming session, where are the pivot points, where are the areas that are most significant to the auction. We know specifically where those are, where those concentrations of volume at price are, where we spent time at price inside that daily session, that gives us insight that somebody who's not using the profile does not see. So that really gives us an edge over those that we're trying to compete against. It also allows us to graphically view what you would have observed if you were on the floor. So if you trade on the floor, or if you've been to any of the pits or done tours, even the historical kind of museum tours now that they have, you'll notice that there aren't charts. There are boards with prices, but there aren't charts. So what did they actually trade off of? They traded off of sound, how active we were at certain prices, how loud the pit was, how much was the competition and the yelling. That's why there are all of these signals that traders would use on the floor to signal to other traders, because they couldn't hear them, okay, because it was too loud. The profile takes what we would have heard and turns it into graphics so that we can see it. So we can basically bring the pit into screen trading. It's why many former pit traders use the market profile graphic and volume profile as a way to take their edge that they had on the floor and express it in electronic screen trading. So know that those mechanics work We are just now seeing what we used to be able to hear if you were on the floor. And it really starts to orient us around this idea of value. Value being relative, but value meaning where is the most traded price in this session versus the prior session versus the last week versus the last month. But we're thinking about where have people said, yep, I'm willing to do two-sided trade there, meaning I can find buyers and sellers. Wherever we can find buyers and sellers exchanging and building out the profile, we know that that's a degree of value and that's meaningful to the auction. So hope that gives you some insight into why we use the profile as the foundation of the decisions that we want to make as we're looking for these intraday swing futures trades.